With his competitive fire lit, Edey turned to the IMG Academy in Florida, graduate with a scholarship to play D1 ball for the Purdue Boilermakers.
Edey is one of 4 finalists for the Naismith Award, which goes to college basketball's most outstanding player.
This year's Men's Wooden Award winner, Zach Edey of Purdue.
Zach Edey has been named Naismith Player of the Year.
Does this ever get old? How does this feel?
Never gets old. Winning never gets old.
Zach Edey has been the face of college basketball for the last 2 seasons. His sheer size and physicality has allowed him to dominate at the college level. He should be on his way to the NBA next season, but something feels a little off about Zach Edey's NBA projection. He's not near the top of any 2024 NBA mock drafts, and scouts are even saying that 2024 is a weaker draft class. Theoretically, his high level of dominance in college should have scouts excited to draft Edey, but it's not that simple. While he is the most dominant force in college basketball right now, many scouts are questioning if Edey's game will translate well to the modern NBA. We'll get into all of it, but let's first understand who Zach Edey is as a basketball player and how he got to this point. Crazy enough, Zach Edey's first sport was not basketball. The Toronto native started his athletic career playing hockey and baseball. But by 14, he'd given up both sports because his 7-foot-tall stature was the most practical in basketball. He only started to play basketball his sophomore year of high school at Leaside High School in Toronto, Canada, and he only started to take basketball seriously when baseball became impractical to play at his exceptional height. He would eventually catch the eye of top-tier prep school IMG Academy and played there for 2 seasons, starting in 2018. It didn't take coaches long to find a fit for Edey. They put the gigantic 16-year-old on a second-tier team for 1 year, primarily so he could develop his skills and learn to cope with the frustration of smaller players pestering him. After showing what he's made of, he got bumped up to the school's national team the next year. Even though he was just a 3-star recruit and just the 440th ranked player in his class, he reclassified to the 2020 class and committed to Purdue, snubbing offers from Baylor and Santa Clara. He was extremely under the radar as a high school recruit, only playing organized basketball for 3 years. Many could question whether Zach Edey was even ready for Division I basketball with such inexperience, but honestly, it took an immense amount of pressure off of him. Just take a look at some child prodigies who were supposed to be the next big thing. Julian Newman, Mikey Williams, these guys were propped up by social media to be stars, but the pressure got to them. If you want to watch our videos on Julian Newman and Mikey Williams, those will be linked at the end of this video. But back to Zach Edey. He came in with 0 expectations and 0 pressure, and in a way, that was better than being let down by a prospect who's supposed to be the next big thing. As a freshman at Purdue, Edey came in at a towering 7 feet 4 inches, making him the tallest player in Big Ten history. Despite sharing playing time with Trevion Williams, who was another solid center, Edey still managed to put up impressive numbers, averaging 8.7 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 1.1 blocks in just 14 minutes per game. His efforts earned him a spot on the Big Ten All-Freshman team. He put up solid numbers in his freshman year on such limited minutes. Many were interested to see if his size and motor can translate to a more expanded role, and if his body can even handle the full duration of a college basketball game. And in his sophomore season, Edey stepped into that role. He became the team's starting center and wasted no time making his mark. His stats improved dramatically, averaging 14.4 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 1.2 blocks in just 19 minutes per game. And to cap it all off, he snagged a spot on the All-Big Ten second team. It wasn't a fluke. Edey was impressive that season, being a more featured scorer and developing a skill set around the basket. Look how he receives the pass and dunks it while using his big stature to shield the defender. And this was only in his sophomore year. But Edey's junior year was an absolute game changer. With his minutes bumping up to 31.7 per game, he really hit his stride, 73.4% from the free throw line, and he won just about every accolade possible in his junior year. He won the National Player of the Year, First Team All-American, Big Ten Player of the Year, First Team All-Big Ten All-Defensive Team, Big Ten Tournament MVP, and he even won the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Award for the best center in the NCAA that season. That's a complete sweep in his junior year. Edey was a force to be reckoned with, and it wasn't just his height, but also his weight that gave him the strength to dominate in the paint, unlike many other towering players who might be on the skinnier side. There's no doubt that his physical presence will be at the top, even for NBA standards. He'll likely be not just one of the tallest, but one of the heaviest players in the league. But even after his historic junior year, he was projected to only be a second-round pick in the 2023 NBA draft, leading Edey to decide to come back for his senior year at Purdue. Many of you might be wondering why he was not projected higher after such a dominating season of college basketball. And to be completely honest, there was still plenty of room for growth in his game. I mean, this guy didn't really start playing organized basketball until his sophomore year of high school. And entering his senior season at Purdue, he was still viewed as the big guy who dominated solely off sheer size and physicality, and needed to display more of a skill set in his senior year to get more NBA scouts on his radar. And it's safe to say that he has shown some signs of that in his senior season. His touch around the basket has been excellent, and his footwork has improved drastically. He's becoming less reliant on his size and is developing some real moves in his arsenal. And speaking of size, he's also shown to have an improved motor, going from playing 14 minutes a game in his freshman season to over 30 minutes consistently in his senior season. And while we know Zach Edey practically lives at the rim and many want to see more in his game, it is a fact that when he gets those mismatches inside, he has been simply unstoppable. He's dunking over anyone and everyone, powering through contact like it's nothing, and his touch is superb, making tough shots on the low block with bodies all over him. And even when teams try to double team him, he has been unfazed. He's been able to improve on reading defenses and finding open teammates when he gets double teamed to the low post. His improved decision-making and passing skills help open up this Purdue offense, and that is what NBA scouts want to see more of compared to highlights of Zach Edey being one-dimensional in the post. Edey's numbers speak for themselves. He averages the most points per game in the country, is third in the nation in rebounds per game, and has helped impact winning basketball at Purdue. Edey's journey from a wide-eye freshman to a seasoned senior All-American has been quite the ride for him. He has seen lots of success in the regular season, clinching back-to-back Big Ten titles in 2023 and 2024, but have absolutely collapsed in the tournament up to this point. From the Sweet 16 collapse in 2022 against 15-seed St. Peter's and the even worse round of 64 historic upset versus 16-seed Fairleigh Dickinson in 2023, Zach Edey and Purdue are looking for much improved March Madness success in 2024, as at this point in time are heading into the Sweet 16 of 2024 March Madness. They absolutely manhandled 16-seed Grambling State in the first round. To be fair, they knew the program could never be taken seriously if they lost to back-to-back 16 seeds. Edey dominated in this game, and Grambling State didn't have much time to cook up a defensive strategy, let alone execute it. They tried to keep Edey in check with single coverage, but let's just say it didn't go as planned. Defenders, who were a head shorter than the 7'4" Edeys, desperately tried to contain a player who was just too big, too strong, and too skilled to handle one-on-one. Look how he bullies the defense on this dunk. Grambling State simply couldn't contain Edey. He went on to make history, becoming only the third player in the last half-century to drop 30 points and grab 20 rebounds in an NCAA tournament game. And in the round of 32, Edey dominated again. He scored 23 points, 14 rebounds, and 3 blocks to lead Purdue to a 106-67 win over Utah State. It'll definitely be interesting to see how Edey competes against much stronger competition in the later rounds of March Madness. If Edey can lead Purdue on a deep run in the tournament, scouts might view Edey in a different light. But as of now, even with his ridiculous stat lines and incredible in-game performances, scouts know who Zach Edey is as a basketball player. Edey's best chance to make an impact in the NBA at this point is being able to show scouts parts of his game they have not seen. Concerns are generally centered on his speed and agility, especially when it comes to guarding more athletic players. You see, in today's NBA, where versatility is key, Edey might struggle to keep up. Plus, his lack of a reliable three-point shot could limit his impact on the floor. Just check out this quote from an anonymous NBA scout. He said Edey is at best another Boban Marjanovic, which I think is a little bit disrespectful to Edey, because he's not a bad player by any means. It's just that the NBA game might not be the best fit for his skill set. The modern NBA is looking for a more versatile big man who can stretch the floor and be far more athletic. Just think about this for a second. Victor Wembanyama is the same height as Zach Edey, but they play completely different. If we're talking way back in the day, Edey would have been a dominant force in the league. But now, with the emphasis on speed and versatility, he might find it tough to carve out a consistent role. We've seen living proof of this happen in recent years. Just look at Drew Timme, for example. He dominated at Gonzaga during his time there, but he did not get drafted. Drew Timme dominated in college from his incredible footwork in the post and incredible touch around the rim. It was his bread and butter in college, but Timme lacks the size, agility, and explosiveness to excel at the NBA level, and never developed a consistent three-point shot either. And although Zach Edey is much more physically imposing than Timme, he does have similar weaknesses that did not give Timme a shot in the NBA. It'll be interesting to see how Edey can develop and polish up his game aside from his physical dominance. So after hearing all about Zach Edey, from his background and development to his stat lines and accolades, and ultimately his NBA draft scouting report, do you think NBA teams should take a chance on Zach Edey in the draft? What do you think the ceiling and floor is for Zach Edey in the NBA? Let us know in the comments below.